And joining us now is Christopher Wesley, and he is the author of this book, Rebuilding Youth Ministry. And thanks so much for being with us, Chris.
Thank you for having me, Kevin. I appreciate it.
I know we talked about this last year, but we actually have the book here. And maybe if you could take us back a little bit and tell us a little bit about the impetus for writing the book.
Yeah, well, first, I can't believe I wrote more than one page without pictures, too, and made it into a book. So that was really great to have that accomplishment. But I mean, really, going back, this book started as a series of blog posts. I have a blog, Marathon Youth Ministry, where I just write about, it's kind of like a journal of what I've been learning in youth ministry. And so rewind a couple of years ago, I was talking to a youth ministry buddy, and he said, why don't you write a book? And I was like, that takes forever to do. And he's like, you've got 1,000 blog posts. Why don't you just make it into one? And so that's what I kind of did. I put it together, and at the same time, my pastor, Father Michael White, and Tom Corcoran, our associate to the pastor, were writing Rebuilt. And so kind of wrote it in tandem with them, and just from the youth ministry perspective of what we're doing and what we've learned at Church of the Nativity when it comes to youth ministry. And so, yeah, it's hard to believe a year ago we were talking, and now the book is real, it's physical, it's in my hands, and it's great.
And tell us a little bit about the youth ministry in the parish. It's a dynamic parish. How have you seen changes and seen it grow since you first started?
Yeah, when I first came on, there was already some things in place that Tom Corcoran, who was the youth minister, had put in place. And so I had a lovely setup from him. But what I was seeing is that we were involved in a few events like ski trips and crab feasts, which is huge here in Maryland. And there were a couple of fundraisers. And those events were good, they were popular. But what they were doing is they were detracting us from really focusing on what was important, and that was growing disciples. Because I think one thing a lot of parishes are facing is that when kids graduate high school, they're graduating their faith as well. Yeah. And so there's this kind of burden on our hearts and something we wanted to address. And so we started looking at different ways that we could change that. And that started with looking at relationships. And so a backbone to our middle school program and our high school program are small groups that meet once a week. And basically, the way that a student small group looks is it's 6 to 8 teenagers, same grade, same gender, with 2 leaders leading that group. And they meet every single week just to talk about what's going on in life, to pray together, and to also reflect on what's being taught in the homily that Father White gives every single weekend.
And I know teenagers get a bad rap, and dragging them to confirmation class and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
What have you found with some of the kids that you work with?
Well, I think the reason why youth ministry can be difficult is because the lives of teenagers can be so messy. Yeah. There's so many pressures that they're facing from their day-to-day schedule to the expectations of what they need to do to get to that next phase of life, college. And so sometimes, and unfortunately, the last thing on their mind is their faith formation. So to make that a priority in their lives is really difficult to do. So the way that we've approached that is by asking them one simple question, and that's, who do you want to be in 5 years? Not what do you want to do, but who do you want to be? And the difference between those questions might seem simple, but it's significant in the sense that who you want to be asks the question of what type of man or woman do you want to see yourself as? What values do you hold? And once we start asking that question, they start looking at where their decisions and their actions are based off of. Are they worldly decisions, or are they God-based decisions? And so we kind of help them navigate through that path, especially during the confirmation preparation. And
when you were putting this together, what was that like for you to go back over your blog post and go through things?
It was a difficult experience because it was like putting a puzzle together. The pieces were there, just didn't know what order they were supposed to go in. So I have a great editor at Ave Maria Press. They were wonderful at helping make sense of all of my ramblings. Also, if you want a great editor too, you have to ask Father Michael White, because I mean, the way he marked up my manuscript was as if my 5-year-old son had drawn crayon all over it. I mean, but it was good. It helped it definitely become the book that it is today. And also great support from my wife. Writing a book is like having another job, and there were times where I just needed to go to a Starbucks or another coffee shop just to write and she allowed me to do that, and she was really supportive of that and very helpful to make sure that this book happened.
Excellent. Well, we thank you for dropping by. And now that you've written one book,
Right.
do you see something in the future?
Yes, there is a possibility of a second book coming along on confirmation. I'm working on that right now, so I hope next time we talk, I can actually hold that actual book as well.
That would be great. Well, thanks so much, Chris. Rebuilding Youth Ministry is the book. So if people want to find out or get a copy of this book, where would they go?
They can go to Amazon, AveMariaPress.com, BarnesandNobles.com, anywhere books are sold.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being with us, Chris.
Thank you for having me.